Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the ultimate 2026 guide to boosting your credit. Now, I know credit scores can sometimes feel like this mysterious, intimidating black box that just kind of controls your financial life, right? But today, we're going to crack that box wide open. We're treating this like a masterclass, a real interactive lab session where we use the latest data to help you take proactive control of your financial health. Here's our lab framework for today. First, the baseline, the state of credit in 2026. Next, the diagnostics, free monitoring tools. Then, the treatment, strategies for rapid boosts. And finally, safety protocols, avoiding hidden debt traps. All right, part one, the baseline, state of credit in 2026. So, to actually improve our scores, we first really need to understand the current financial landscape. We can't plot a course if we don't know where we're starting from. According to the Spring 2026 FICO Score Credit Insights report, the average American credit score has actually dipped down to 714. And this just continues a gradual downward trend we've been seeing over the last couple of years. Now, you might be wondering, what's driving this? Well, mainly it's the resumption of student loan repayments and a modest rise in mortgage delinquencies, which are pushing right back up to pre-pandemic levels. But hey, that 714 average, that only tells half the story. We're currently operating in what economists like to call a K-shaped credit economy. Basically, we're seeing incredibly divergent outcomes. On one end of the K, a record 48.1% of consumers now boast top-tier FICO scores of 750 or higher. But on the other end, lower-scoring borrowers are facing some seriously persistent challenges, largely thanks to inflation and higher interest rates. Oh, and here's a wild little fact amidst all this. Gen Z is actually leading the charge in new credit card openings right now. Over 25% of Gen Z consumers opened at least one card in the past year alone. Now, all these stats are super fascinating, but let's bring it home to your wallet. I want to ask you a really direct question. What does your credit score actually cost you in real dollars? Think about it, because having excellent credit, it's not just some vanity metric you brag about, it's a massive financial return on investment. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what I mean. Take an average single-family home loan of just over $400,000. If you're sitting in the top credit tier, so a score between 760 and 850, your APR sits around 7.242%. Over 30 years, you're paying about $585,000 in interest. But look down at the bottom tier, those scores between 620 and 639. The APR jumps to 7.838%, and the total interest absolutely skyrockets to over $645,000. Literally, just by jumping from that bottom tier to the top tier, you yield a staggering $59,274 payday in mortgage interest savings. That is life-changing money, all just for keeping an eye on your score. Okay, let's move to part two, the diagnostics, free monitoring tools. So clearly, the stakes are high, and to get our baseline, we need the right tools. First off, let me completely reassure you, checking your own score is a soft pull. It is never, ever going to hurt your credit, okay? So the absolute gold standard starting point is annualcreditreport.com. This is the only federally authorized online source that gives you free reports from all three major national bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Oh, and here's a massive perk you absolutely should take advantage of right now. Equifax is currently offering 6 extra free credit reports every 12 months, all the way through December 31, 2026. This means you can constantly monitor your baseline without spending a single dime. But what about those daily monitoring apps you have on your phone? Well, the two heavyweights in 2026 are Credit Karma and Credit Sesame. Now, both are great, but they serve slightly different needs. Credit Karma pulls data from both TransUnion and Equifax. And it features this really robust score simulator that basically lets you test out financial moves before you actually make them. Pretty cool, right? Credit Sesame, on the other hand, only shows TransUnion on its free tier, but it boasts vastly superior identity protection options and a really slick, streamlined dashboard. So just choose the one that fits your priority, whether you're all about score simulation or you lean more toward identity protection. Moving right along to part 3, the treatment, strategies for rapid boosts. All right, now we enter the absolute most exciting part of our lab, the highly actionable experiments you can run to rapidly build up your credit profile. Our first treatment protocol revolves around a magic number, 30%. You see, maintaining your credit utilization ratio under 30% is a critical, super high impact factor for your FICO score. And utilization, that's simply how much credit you're currently using compared to your total available limits. Keeping this number low proves to lenders that you aren't desperate for cash, and more importantly, that you can manage your debt responsibly. Next up, we really need to talk about fixing errors. Because let's face it, mistakes happen. Maybe a loan you never even opened or an account wrongly listed as late. When you spot an error, you absolutely must dispute it. But here's the kicker. You've got to do it right. As the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau outlines, you shouldn't just complain online and hope for the best. No, you need to send a physical dispute letter loaded with proof to both the Credit Reporting Bureau and the furnisher. The furnisher is the company that originally reported the bad data, like your credit card issuer. You got to hit them both to force a real investigation. Now, what's really interesting about this next strategy is the sheer speed of the results. We're talking about becoming an authorized user. This is where a family member simply adds you to their pristine, long-standing credit card account. And get this, you don't even need to use the card. You just magically inherit their excellent payment history. The data shows that folks with a score below 550 see an average 10% increase in just 30 days, and a massive 30% jump after 12 months. Honestly, it's one of the absolute fastest ways to piggyback off a strong credit profile. Our final treatment strategy is for anyone out there dealing with collections. It's called the pay-for-delete process. This is where you actually negotiate with a debt collector to completely remove a negative account from your report in exchange for, well, paying them. Now, full disclosure here, this is a bit of a legal gray area. It's not illegal, but it's definitely not guaranteed either, mostly because the bureaus strongly prefer accurate historical reporting. Generally, it works best if the debt has been sold off to a third-party debt buyer. Just remember the absolute golden rule. Always get the deletion agreement in writing before you hand over a single cent. Seriously, get it in writing. All right, final section, part 4, safety protocols, avoiding hidden debt traps. So we've covered the tools and the treatments. But as you navigate this 2026 credit landscape, you've got to remain highly vigilant. There is some recent, incredibly eye-opening research from King's College London and the Federal Reserve Board that uncovered what I like to call the algorithmic trap. Get this, right now 4 out of 5 credit limit increases in the US are not requested by consumers. They are entirely automated by banks using AI. And this is dumping $40 billion in new available credit onto the market every single quarter. But here's the truly terrifying part. These algorithms are specifically targeting borrowers who are already in debt. And how do consumers react when they get this extra leash? They end up increasing their revolving balances by roughly 30%. So the crucial point is exactly what Dr. Agnes Kovacs, who led the study, points out. Algorithms are literally pushing people into greater financial vulnerability. In fact, the research shows that an insane 1/3 of all unpaid credit card balances in the United States exist strictly because of these unrequested automated limit increases. While countries like the UK and Canada require explicit consumer consent before bumping up a limit, the US just doesn't have these safeguards in place yet. You really have to protect yourself out there. Which brings us to the end of our lab session today. We've seen how top-tier credit can save you nearly $60,000 on a mortgage. We've explored some rapid repair strategies, and we've exposed those sneaky AI debt traps banks are currently setting. So the choice is entirely yours. Will you actively use these tools and strategies to build your wealth, or will you let the algorithms drive you right into their debt traps? The time to take control of your baseline is right now. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.